Jeremy Clarkson. Hello, sir.
Greetings.
The Grand Tour presents SEAMEN.
Yeah.
It's just fun to say out loud, isn't it? I mean,
because we are SEAMEN.
we are SEAMEN.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all SEAMEN at one time or another, aren't we?
Exactly right.
I just can't wait to see Andy Willman, producer of SEAMEN, at the end of the credits. Producer.
Producer of SEAMEN. Where did that idea come from? Was that yours?
I wish it had
Really?
been mine, but credit has to go to Amazon for that one. I just can't believe we did the whole thing and never thought to call one another SEAMEN.
Okay, the first big new Grand Tour special. No cars. No cars. Bit of a bold move. Where was the inspiration behind that?
The inspiration, I just fancied... No, I'll tell you what it was. I saw a photograph. You know the Amazon screensavers you get? There was one of this canal in the Mekong Delta, and it was completely green with some kind of algae. Bound to be climate change, everything is. So it was an algae. I thought, God, that's incredible. Wouldn't it be great to go down there? And then I thought, and I could build one of those PBRs, the boats from Apocalypse Now, and I could hammer into Vietnam with Creedence Clearwater Revival playing. Yeah! And so I ran out into the office and said, I know where we're going, and then we went.
Let's be honest, it's a long time since anybody thought, I'm buying a new car. I must tune into the Grand Tour to see what James and Richard say about it. So it was...
I think that transition happened in about like 1998.
Yeah.
It's not as daft as it seems because it's transport. We sort of do transport. We've done lorries and motorcycles and a bit of cycling and a little bit of flying, in fact. So it's not that daft.
Be able to do that on the throttles, two big V8s burst into life, twin impeller jets flinging the water out the back.
We figured people would come along with us, and it also gives us jeopardy, and more to the point, it takes us out of our comfort zone, which, annoyingly, people seem to like. There's no appetite at all for three middle-aged men sit around in a nice bar having a chat over gin and tonic. But there is a lot of appetite for three middle-aged men have a simply awful time, slightly scared and not knowing what to do next.
Speaking of jeopardy, you have been through the wars more than most, perhaps even more than the other two over the years.
Been through the wars is a lovely phrase. I've been through the wars. I have.
It's like something your grandma said. Oh,
But I have been through the wars. I've been very brave as well.
Was there any times of filming this particular special where you were like, we've pushed this further than we usually would? Like, have we gone too far here?
Yes, there was. And it didn't happen at first. As we crossed the sea, I was concentrating on steering my slightly wonky boat, trying to make sure the last of my wine didn't fall out of the fridge, read the sea and all other things I wasn't particularly familiar with. But there came a point where we were pretty much halfway across. I'd got split up from my camera boat, which had water on board and various other problems, so that was bloody miles away. And I thought, I actually am on my own here, doing something I can't really do, and it is obviously a bit hazardous because of this big sea, and the only choice I have is to keep going.
I can swim, which I'm not sure Hammond and May can. I've never seen James
There's no
May.
waiver like signed beforehand. Which one of them would you try and save if they were both in the water?
Oh no, I'd save the crews. I wouldn't save those two.
If I had to save one of them, what, in like a swimming situation?
Or maybe just casting a net, whichever way you want to
I'm
creatively.
going to say it depends whichever one of them at the time was wearing the nicest watch.
I mean, I remember reading HMS Ulysses when I was a boy. The rule on the Arctic convoys was survivors cannot be picked up, and I think that's probably the rule I would have applied.
You would have had to move some of the wine from the boat in the first place.
Well, it's also surprisingly difficult, as you may have seen the bit where I tried to retrieve my cushion from a fairly calm river, and even in a small boat, it is very, very difficult to get something out of the water. You have to get very close but not run over them, and I think it probably would have just been a bit too difficult, to be honest.
Probably best left.
Yeah, I
Natural
think so.
selection at its finest. When you got to the end, you turned around. I think they said a terrible disappointment for Top Gear, which is a funny little dig. But I'm wondering, with the change of lineup there, dare I ask, have any of you guys cast an eye over to that, watched any of the
I watch it,
the new
yes.
series? What did you think of it?
I think it's pretty good these days, and we're not enemies. We're not trying to do each other in. We're rivals, but we're actually quite different shows now. So it doesn't do any harm in the world. I've said this many times. It doesn't do any harm that there are two car shows to watch where there was once only one.
I don't know about James and Richard. Andy Willman, the producer, and I haven't, because it was our baby. We dreamed it up, and then it got taken away. And it's like having if your child is taken away by social services and given away for adoption, you wish it all the best. You hope it thrives, but you don't go and peer through the windows of the house where it's living. And that's how I don't want to see what they're doing. I just hope they're not being completely useless.
How much longer do you think you guys can put yourselves through this particular type of situation? Did it ever cross your mind of like, okay, I've got a few more of these in me, but in 5 years' time, this ocean crossing is going to finish me off?
What are you trying to say?
I'm not suggesting
you
should
about to
retire
mention
anytime
that it's
soon.
my 50th birthday soon, par chance? Because everybody else has to.
I've got a brass band who's going to come in
Oh,
a minute. Or
good.
a mariachi band are going to come sing happy
the
birthday.
time will come, but we managed to shuffle along okay. We've always joked about it. There will be one of us wheeled in. I was the first to have a stroke. As we get older, I don't know. The day will come, I'm sure. It is punishing. It is hard work. I'm not hard work in like a bad way.
It's a good question. What will stop us first? You know, being so annoyed with each other that we can't face it anymore, or simply becoming too old and frail to do it. And I suspect it's the latter, but that might be quite soon.
Well, I would barely walk for a week after what happened to us in Vietnam. We were properly battered. I mean, it really was being in a washing machine falling off a cliff, sort of, you know, and I was black and blue. And I have come back from Madagascar with some terrible skin disease. God knows what it is. But, you know, you only live once and you've got to make the most of it.
Might as well keep going to your drop.
I think it'll be great if one of us actually dies on screen. Because I want the line of voiceover, not that you could do it yourself, obviously, but it would have to be, you know, I would have to say it for the first time. I would have to say, Jeremy was the first to die.
A television explosion wiping us out. It was fantastic for the ratings.
And it'd be great to see you go in a caravan or something.
Imagine that.
That would be beautiful.
Imagine that.
The staff in the school at home going,